What's going on, guys? Welcome to another anonymous producer tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you guys the way that I stay organized while producing. So some of the reasons that you really need to stay organized while producing is because it'll save you tons of time. I know sometimes it can seem like you don't have time to name everything and color everything and everything like that, but trust me, in the long run, once you get pretty far into your project, then things start to get kind of chaotic and really full of all kinds of things, and it really helps to have things grouped, named, and organized. First thing is patterns. You want to make sure that you have named and colored your patterns as you go, because one thing I've learned is that if you don't do it as you go, if you just say you're going to do it later, then oftentimes things end up piling up, and then later on you have a huge mess to go through, and then you got to do all that work, and it becomes way more work if you push it off till later. So if you just do it as you go, it saves you tons of time. And I've learned that this applies into the real world as well. If you procrastinate and push things off till later, they often end up never getting done, and becomes a whole lot more work later on. So I'm going to name my patterns accordingly to what they are. This is my drum pattern. So I'll name that drums 1. Drums 1, and I'll make the color dark blue. And then my piano, I have piano 1, rename piano 2. Alright, now one of the awesome things about FL Studio 20 is I've learned this cool trick, which is that you can select multiple patterns, and then you can rename them. You just pick 2 colors, and then it changes the colors like this, and it looks really cool. And I don't know, it's just a thing that I like to do, is I like to have everything look nice colors, nice organized, everything like that. So I find that helpful. And my so I got my pianos all one color. My drums I'm going to change to green. And if everything is colored its own color, that really helps you to find things later on. When you know your base is one certain color, in this case green, I can just look at it and boom, I have it selected. And I just find that much easier. Next is, once you have your playlist somewhat laid out like I do here, then you want to try to name and color your playlist tracks. So I'm going to do my drums 1 track, and I'll make that the same color as my pattern. I'll change it to a lighter hint of blue. And then my piano, rename piano number 1. Alright, so one quick tip is, if I right click this and then I hit Control G, right click and then Control G, then it'll group this playlist track underneath the one right above it. So this is a way of grouping all your playlist tracks underneath one master track. So I got all my piano tracks underneath this one right here. I'm actually going to move all of these up. Alright, so now I got my master piano playlist track here, and then underneath I got all my other pianos, and then same goes for my drums later once I have more drum tracks or drum patterns and strings as well. Right now I'm only down to um, one of each, but as the project progresses I'll have more. So and that way you can collapse certain playlist tracks in order to save space and look at things more quickly and easily. There we go. Now we got all my playlist tracks organized. I'll do this. This is rename build up. Okay. All right. So I got two different hook build ups here, and I will make them both the same color, and I'll group them underneath each other like this. And notice I have all my pianos the same color, and my build ups the same color, drums one color. These strings I'm actually going to change to a different color that I haven't used yet. Change color to red. There we go. Alright, now things are nice and organized here. And next you want to organize your channel rack. And what you want to do here is you want to make sure that everything is clearly named and also colored properly and put into groups. And I'll show you how to put things into groups. But first I'll rename all my channels here to something that's easily identifiable. Make this kick number 1. Alright, so now I got them all named clearly, and one of the reasons you want them all named clearly is that if you're selling beats or if you're working with a mix engineer, then it's very important to have clear names that anyone can understand, so that when you export your track outs later on, that it's clearly named for the mix engineer or whoever decides to purchase your beat. So that's one of the main reasons for that. And then now I'm gonna color all my um, channels here according to what they are. First I'll group them all. Like all my drums here, you just click this box and then you drag up, and then you can click here, group selected, my drums, and then that puts them into a separate group here on their own. And then I'm also going to change color, make them all the same color. And one of the reasons you want to color them all is so that when you send everything to the mixer, that you can that everything's already organized and colored and named, so that it makes organizing that part easier. And now I'm going to highlight all my other instruments, like my melody instruments, and group those into melody instruments. And then I'll change colors according to, I have my guitars here. I'll make my guitars one color, make those green. And my strings and violins, I'll make them be dark blue. My pianos, I'll make them purple. Alright, and my bass. I haven't put that into a group. I only have one bass instrument in this case, but I usually have more, so I'll still group it into a separate group, bass. And that'll rename, or I'll change color to green because that's what I used in the playlist. It's nice to line up the colors with the same colors you used in patterns if you're able to do that. So now I got my colors. So I basically got my channel rack fully organized now. And now I'm going to double click the top box here to highlight them all. And then you hit Control L. And that'll send everything to your playlist. Or to, oh, sorry, that'll send everything to your mixer. So I don't know why my mixer organized itself like this, but I'm going to shift everything over to the side. Then I'm going to add separators in order to separate things that are supposed to be separate, like my reverse symbols here, my buildups. I'll put a separator here. And note whichever mixer track you right click and hit click separator, it'll put a separator to the left of that mixer track. And then all my melody instruments, put a separator between the bass, and then my bass in between the drums. And now they're all separated. And one thing I like to do is to use mixer buses in order to be able to say change the volume of just my drums at once instead of adjusting them all separately. I like to have one single mixer track where I route all my drums to so that I can adjust the volume level of all my drums with just one slider. So highlight all your drums and then route to mixer track, this track only. And then my bass, I only have one bass, but my guitars, and in this case mandolin and guitars, those I'll put into a separate mixer track. Guitars, route to this track only, and then I'll change the color of all of these to one single color. And then my strings, violins and such, strings. Route to this track only. And now this way, if you want to change just the volume of your strings, then you can just change it on one slider instead of adjusting each track separately. And this is really useful for if you're layering instruments or like layering kicks or something. Then I would even add a mixer track for both just the kicks, and then I would route that mixer track to the drums track. And I might actually do that for the hi-hats because I have two hi-hats. So, hats. So I'll highlight both my hi-hats and then I'll route to this track only. And then I'll route this track to the drums track. So now the hi-hats are running to this track and then from there to this track, from there to the master. Seems a little confusing, but it actually makes things a whole lot more simple later on. And then all my pianos, I will send them all to one track as well. All right, so And of course, you can add other changes to this, but the general idea is that routing um, instruments that are kind of the same, routing them to one single mixer track. It's kind of like as if you're playing in a band, like an orchestra or something, and then the composer tells the string section to play a bit quieter, the entire string section, instead of telling each dude individually to play quieter. He just tells the whole string section to play quieter, and then they all get quieter. It's a whole lot easier than telling them each individually. And that's kind of the idea of this as well. Like I'm grouping all the pianos into one, and then grouping all the strings into one, grouping all the guitars into one, and so on. And then here, even I'm grouping the hi-hats into one, and then from the hi-hats into the main drum track, and then from there to the master. So it just simplifies the mixing process later on and organizes everything. So yeah, so that's about it for this video. If you guys have any questions, then drop them in the comments. And also let me know what else you guys would like to see in the comments. I'd be happy to take suggestions. And if you guys are interested in learning music theory, I have a course that you can get access to if you join my Patreon, and it would really help me out too. I've currently been out of the job for a little while now due to an injury, and so this is basically what I'm trying to do to earn some income. And if you guys want to support me and this channel and everything, then feel free to do that. I'll leave a link to my Patreon below, and I'll also leave a donation link as well if you would like to donate. It'd be much appreciated, and it keeps this kind of content coming. And if you aren't going to do that, just drop a like and even hit subscribe. That's already support enough for me. So go ahead and do that. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.